a question that if you're like me, I don't want to forget it, go ahead and just type it in the chat, and we'll be monitoring that, and we'll make sure those questions are covered. So go ahead and just type in if you've got something as we go. And again, if you've got any follow-up this may not covered by the presenters today, please reach out to your PSO representatives or Mr. Ford or Michelle of any other information that you may need. I think they'll share their contact information. With that, any questions before we get started? Okay, good. First, welcome everybody. And what we want to share is we've got two great presenters. First one we're going to have is Mr. Bob Ford. He's with Icybus, that manufactures school transportation here in Tulsa, and he has 22 years in experience. So he's going to really help share what is an electric bus. What does that look like? What does it entail? And also the charging with that. I'll help answer any questions just to help provide information around bus electrification. What does that really mean? And then Michelle will take it over. She's she's a sustainability programs planner with InCharge, and she serves as a coordinator with the Clean Cities Coalition and Regional Air Quality, and help provide information around grant opportunities that are coming with the infrastructure bill from the federal level, plus some other things that for school districts to electrify part of their bus fleet. So and she's going to share those opportunities. Bob or Michelle, did I miss anything on?
Nope,
look okay? With that, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if there's anything I hacked up on your bio, please fill the rest of it in, and I'll turn it over to you, and welcome.
Derek, thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing us to be here, or Icybus to be a part of this. And I'm going to try to bring up my presentation and tell me if it's, hopefully you're able to see it full screen. Does that look good, Tracy? Okay, good. All right, well, first of all, thank you again, Derek, and I appreciate you allowing us to be here. And I cannot see anybody on the screen while I'm in the presentation mode, so I apologize. Please speak up if you've got any questions or anything that comes up along the way. But before we start, I do want to talk about the Icybus. So Icybus, our parent company, Navistar, which International Truck and Icybus are under, was purchased by Traton in 2021. So when you hear any of the news about Icybus, you will hear or see Traton and Navistar as a part of that. So that's one thing I want to cover, but then also I want to talk about the electrification process. So, and that includes the bus that Derek talked about, the chargers. So we'll kind of go through that entire process on this call, and please don't hesitate to, as Derek said, put questions in chat so that we can answer those while we've got it. So we talked about Traton being our owner, and with Navistar really gives us a bright future for Icybus going forward with a lot of new technology coming at us. It gives us the global scale to introduce that product and bring it to the market. Electrification is in the headlines everywhere, and it's that way at Icybus too. There's school bus is going to be the starting of the electrification of our transportation, and it's the right place to start with zero emission coming out of the tailpipe on an electric bus. It's the right product to transport our most precious cargo. So the hesitation, I think, by a lot of us in the school transportation or the people transportation network is, it's a new product, but and it won't work on every route. and that's probably exactly right at this point. But the electric school bus is right for every school district, is what I would say. It's not right for every route. So if you've got routes that are extremely long, you may not want to put an electric bus on that route at this point. But the EV bus, the electric bus, is right for every school district. And it's the best, it's the cleanest transportation that we can put our kids on. So just something to think about. Um, from a California Air Resource Board perspective, and what a lot of other states are going to be adopting, is they're going to require a percentage of the units sold and operated or sold in their states to be zero emission vehicles. So from an OE perspective, from an IC bus perspective, producing all of our buses, whether it's internal combustion fuel or the electric bus, in our Tulsa facility, it's important that we grow our zero emission business to be able to sustain our business within the states that adopt the CARB regulations. So as you can see on this chart, if on the class 4 through 8 where school buses would reside by 2030, we need to have 50% of our units sold to be zero emission. So it's really important for us to grow this business. Navistar's integrated approach for e-mobility is really a unique consultative approach where we want to be start at the beginning of the consultation part of the transition to EV all the way through the conserving at the end of the life. We're investing heavily in it. We, as I mentioned earlier, the electric bus will be manufactured at our facility in Tulsa. We also will have electric truck manufacturing at our San Antonio, Texas facility, as well as our Escobedo, Mexico. And then we've got our headquarters in Lisle, Illinois, and then our next facility in Rochester Hills, Michigan. So investing heavily in the EV market. So let's talk more about the electric bus at this point. So we're really using the 5C approach, where we want to be a partner with our customers in the consulting process, early on determining what type of bus, what chargers, what infrastructure changes have got to be made. Through the charging, the constructing is really more, of the configuration of the bus, building of the bus, and then through connecting and conserving. So I'm going to go quickly through these to give you an overall view of our desire to make sure that the EV buses that we sell to our customers are able to be put in service and work effectively and efficiently once you take delivery of them. So in step one, the consulting approach, we really want to look at your routes that you're considering the EV buses for. Make sure that they're the right vehicle. Do we go with a smaller battery package or a larger battery package? We can run total cost of ownership calculators, the route analysis, to really kind of give you a comprehensive look at what's the right way to go for your buses on the EV route. The charging and infrastructure, we have partnered with InCharge, which is a company that can come in and do site planning. So they can look at your facility, the power that's coming into the facility, look at your short-term and long-term plans to figure out how many chargers, how many EV buses you're planning to have at a facility, and how many chargers you may need to support that. What's the overall plan? If we're going to cut concrete or dig dirt to run electrical wires, we want to do it one time. So that's part of the charging and infrastructure planning that needs to take place in advance. starting process of getting an EV bus really is the infrastructure, and site planning is a longer process in most cases than it is to get a bus. So we do make it somewhat easy to get that started. We've got a QR code that will take you to a survey to answer a few questions and post. You can add some photos of your electrical to get that process started with a on-site site review plan. So a few steps to go through on that. Once again, we've partnered with InCharge. The electrification adoption process can be done in many different stages, from a full turnkey where they pretty much handle the entire process to you tell us what you need. We definitely want to be a part of the infrastructure, the charger process, because if we're going to sell you an Icybus, for example, we want to make sure that when you get that bus, it's ready to go, and the charging and the infrastructure will support the operation and operation of the unit. So it also includes, with the InCharge, we've got software that you can monitor the units. You'll know that when the driver brings it back to the lot at the end of the day, that it's plugged in, it's charging, which gives you the confidence that it's going to be ready to go the next day. On-site maintenance and validation packages that the InCharge has put together. But I guess the big picture here is that we can support you, the customer, at any level of this, whether you want, a full turnkey situation, or if you just want to piecemeal getting the charging software, infrastructure, hardware, things like that in place and to the bus. So charging hardware, our bus, it takes a AC or DC charger. So there's two different types of chargers that you can look at. The level 2 AC chargers are smaller, they're less expensive. They are wall or pedestal mounted. If you are looking at an AC charger, your charge times will be extended. If you're running a bus with a 350 kilowatt battery, it would take approximately about 19 hours to fully charge that. If you're looking at the DC fast chargers, which are probably the recommendation that we would make from an Icybus perspective, they are a larger charger. They require more infrastructure, quite a bit, extremely faster charge compared to the AC. Where if you're charging a 315 kilowatt bus, you could do it in about 5 hours with a 60 kilowatt charger. Once again, they're pedestal or floor mounted. It's real important to make sure that the chargers that you're looking at work with the Icybus, the OE bus that you are, or the EV bus that you're going with. Some chargers are vehicle to grid or vehicle to building compatible, and others are not. That's something you've got to decide whether or not you are going to invest in the vehicle to grid charging infrastructure and software, which does cost more for those chargers, but is available. As far as the CE bus, as I stated, it will charge on AC or DC charging. There's a charge indicator basically in the display or the cluster shown in the upper right of the slide. When the driver is connecting the bus to the charger, there's a visible indicator light, blue, yellow, green, basically that shows them that the charger is connecting and the vehicle is charging. Something to keep in mind is that the commercial vehicles, like a school bus or a medium duty truck, will not charge on an automotive charger. So commercial vehicles have got to have a 600 volt charging system. They do come with the J1772 CCS1 combo charger. Our bus is, as I said, vehicle to grid ready. And then you've got the onboard charger and AC DC converters. But if you're going with a DC converter, and you've got a state of charge at 20% or 40%, you can see that the charge time with a 125 kilowatt on a 210 kilowatt battery pack on the bus, you could charge it in as little as 40%. It'd be up to 80% in 35 minutes or about an hour to get it to 100%. So the charger is real important based on what your route needs are. Powertrain integration, or the constructing, basically. As I said, we're building the bus in Tulsa. You can get 2 different battery configurations. That'll give you a range of 135 miles up to 200 miles. Direct drive motor. The bus is designed around the body that we've got for the CE bus that's been kind of tried and true. Some of the key aspects of the EV bus is the electronic stability control is included, and then you've got regenerative braking that allows you to limit brake wear or significantly reduce brake wear, but also allows the driver to put power back into the battery during regenerative braking. Connectivity is real important. So the connectivity allows you to monitor the vehicle from your desk, from your desktop, to make sure that they're charging at night, that there's no fault codes, that the units are operating efficiently. With the connectivity telematics that are on each of our buses, it just makes operating or managing the fleet so much easier, because it's visible, it's easier to understand, and you can take action prior to even the driver calling you to let you know there's an issue. So that's a big part of it. Conserving, this is kind of a ways down the road, but Icybus, Navistar, Traton as a whole is very much ingrained into making sure that we've got a process of remanufacturing, refurbishing, and recycling the EV products, mainly the batteries. So it's all part of our process in this ecosystem of the EV bus. And I do want to, and I know I'm running over on time here a little bit, but I do want to share some information. I think this is some information that's pretty interesting, based on units that are out in the fleet or out on the road that we've deployed already on the EV buses. But so you've got a chart here that's distance between charges. So part of your route analysis is trying to figure out, you're running X number of miles in the morning, X number of routes in the afternoon. Are you running 1, 2, 3 tiers? And what charge time do you have in between your routes? So these are units that are in California and British Columbia, Western Canada, and it kind of shows how many miles they're traveling between reconnecting the vehicle to charge. And then the second data point is the use of regenerative braking. So I think for those that are driving an EV vehicle, once you get used to that regenerative braking, you're using the service brake pedal very little, only when you come to a complete stop in a lot of cases, or if there's a need to have more of a panic stop. But you end up driving the bus with one foot for the most part until you come to a complete stop. So with that, and I apologize for running a little long here, but I do want to mention that, and on the call today, I think we've got David Carney and Carl and Adam from our dealer in Oklahoma that's here to support us and to help you through the EV transition. And don't hesitate to reach out to any of us if we can help. So with that, and once again, I apologize for going long. I will turn it over to Michelle from InCharge.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. It was a great overview. and lead up to our discussion on funding. Let's see if I can get my screen shared here. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, and can everyone see my screen as well? Awesome. All righty, well, like Derek introduced, I'm Michelle Merchant. I am InCog Sustainability Programs Planner in our Energy and Environmental Planning Department. And within that position, I am the coordinator of the Tulsa Area Clean Cities Coalition. Here's my email in case you want to write that down, because I'll be able to help any school districts who are interested in this funding opportunity or interested in electric buses or other alternative fuels buses. I'm here to help. So a little about InCog to begin. InCog is a voluntary association of local and tribal governments in the Tulsa area. We were established in 1967 and are one of 11 councils of governments in Oklahoma and one of several hundred planning organizations around the country. We serve the Creek, Osage, Rogers, Tulsa, and Wagner counties, more than 50 cities and towns located in those counties, and the Cherokee, Muskogee, and Osage nations. And then a little about Clean Cities and our mission. So the Clean Cities program is it's initiated by the Department of Energy back in the late 90s, and we work to enhance the economic, environmental, and energy security of the United States by working locally, kind of as boots on the ground arms of the DOE, to advance affordable domestic transportation fuels, energy efficient mobility systems, and other fuel saving technologies and practices. So we work one-on-one with fleets, public and private fleets, to support them in the adoption of all types of alternative fuels, whether that's propane, compressed natural gas, hydrogen is growing, and obviously electric vehicles are a big part of that. We have two Clean Cities coalitions in Oklahoma. I'm with the Tulsa Area Clean Cities Coalition, like I mentioned, which covers obviously the Tulsa Metro, but we also cover all of Eastern Oklahoma. And there's also a Central Oklahoma Clean Cities Coalition that's housed out of the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, or ACOG. And Eric Pollard is the coordinator of that Clean Cities Coalition. I'll have both of our contact info at the very end of my presentation as well. And Eric is going to be offering this very same webinar next week. So here's what I'm going to cover today. The main thing I'm going to be talking about is a current opportunity that's about to open up in May, and that's the 2022 Clean School Bus Rebate Program. After I discuss that and what we know currently about that program, I'm going to talk about some other federal and state funding opportunities for clean school buses, with attention mostly to electric school buses. And then I'm going to talk about tools and additional resources that could help you as you navigate looking at electric buses for your school district, and that might be helpful in applications for funding. A couple of notes that I want to offer before we get started. Federal funds cannot be used as match for other federal funding. You all are probably familiar with this, but if you haven't applied for federal funds before, then that might be a good point just to take note of. Another one is that I would ask that you please review all of the official funding announcements for full details on any of the funding programs that I'm going to talk about today. I'm giving, the high level overview and the points that I was able to find about these to give you some insight. But if you find any discrepancies between what I've said today and what you're finding in funding announcements, always, anything that is in the funding announcement would supersede anything that I'm offering today. So getting into this new program for 2022 is the Clean School Bus Program, which was created when the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act was signed into law back in November. And it allocates $5 billion over the course of 5 years for clean school buses. So one half of that $5 billion is going to go specifically to electric school buses for school. And then the other half of that is going to go towards a group of clean school buses. So that could include electric, propane, or natural gas powered vehicles. But electric buses qualify for the full $5 billion. So under any of the programs that come out of this, or funding opportunities that come out of this program, electric buses will qualify. This program is administered by the EPA, and some goals of the program are to maximize the number of school buses funded through it, to prioritize school bus replacements in areas that have been historically underserved. And this fits in with the federal administration's Justice 40 initiative, which is they're making an effort to ensure that at least 40% of the benefits of certain federal investments go towards historically disadvantaged communities. And I'll get into that a little bit later when I talk about prioritized applicants. Another goal is to offer multiple funding opportunities and programs throughout the 5-year timeline of this Clean School Bus program. So there's going to be $500 million available each year in probably a set of different types of funding opportunities. So this one is a rebate program that's happening, it's about to happen this month, but in the future it could be a grant opportunity. And because details are still being developed on program design with this brand new program, it's probably going to evolve over time based on lessons learned and stakeholder feedback. So what we know now about this program, we know that the first funding opportunity is going to be the 2022 Clean School Bus Rebate Program, and they're going to begin accepting applications this month. So I've been checking every single day. I checked this morning to see if there was any news. And so far they have not opened up for applications yet, but they will be any day now. So definitely keep your eye on that because this is a really great program and is ready for the taking for any of you school districts looking to get electric buses right now. So there's going to be $500 million available under this program just for this program year. So these rebates for electric, propane, or CNG powered school buses. And similar to many of the other rebate programs from the federal government for school buses, it's going to be lottery-based selection. Also, I just wanted to highlight, and I hope, I assume we'll be able to send out a copy of the slide deck to attendees after this, but I will just note that if you want any more detail on anything I'm mentioning about this rebate program, I collected all of this information from a webinar that was recently offered by the EPA on this opportunity. So we also know that competitive grant funding under the Clean School Bus program is expected to open in late 2022 or early 2023. So that'll be the next funding opportunity that's offered under the program. And I would suggest that for any school district interested in these buses and this funding opportunity, it'd be great to sign up for updates directly from EPA. So you can head to this website here. The link will be in here when you get the slide deck. But if you sign up for Clean School Bus Program News, that'll get your email on a listserv so that you'll get email updates every time something changes with the program, if a new funding opportunity is announced, or if an application opens, for example. And on this site, you can also find informational webinars, recordings of past webinars, some helpful documents, and application tips. Going into just a brief overview of the vehicles that are eligible for replacement and then eligible clean school buses for those replacements, as well as funding infrastructure. The vehicles that the EPA wants to replace are 2010 or older diesel-powered school buses. And similar to other funding opportunities for clean burning school buses, this funding opportunity will require that school districts scrap the vehicle that will be replaced. So that typically means drilling a hole through the engine block. Usually it's just the engine itself that has to be scrapped. So if you guys are interested in selling or donating the other parts of the vehicle, typically that's accepted. But once again, check the program funding announcement for the full details on that. If your school district doesn't have any diesel vehicles older than 2010, other buses will be eligible under this program opportunity. So definitely be sure to check out the full announcement when it comes out. We do know that these vehicles will they'll have to be over 10,000 pounds, and they have to be in operation at just this current school year that's just finishing up right now. They will have had to be in operation during this year. They also have to meet some specific service requirements for operation, so be sure to check that out. The eligible replacement vehicles are going to be battery electric, natural gas, or propane powered school buses. They have to be EPA certified, vehicle model year 2021 or newer, and they also have to meet that same weight requirement. They cannot be ordered prior to receiving official notification of selection for this funding. So that's an important point. Just with this being a rebate program, just keep in mind that they're not offering rebates for buses that you've already purchased. They're offering the rebate once you've been selected for this funding program. And then these new vehicles are going to have to be purchased. They can't be leased or leased to own. And they have to remain in service of your school district for a minimum of 5 years. A little bit about eligible fueling infrastructure, or in this case, charging infrastructure. The EPA funding for infrastructure is limited to the fleet side of the meter. So there's a small diagram down here, hopefully it's visible to you all, where basically everything to the right of this diagram is what would be an eligible expense within this funding opportunity. And then there are some requirements for ensuring that the charging infrastructure that's purchased is Energy Star certified. They also ask that all charging infrastructure is listed under a nationally recognized testing laboratory. If you have any questions about anything that's mentioned here, if anything's confusing, please reach out to me or Eric at Central Oklahoma Clean Cities. We'd be happy to help you navigate any part of this that you need assistance with. So going back to prioritized applicants, these are going to be school districts that would receive more funding than other school districts under this program. Those are going to be high-need school districts in low-income areas, and they're qualifying low-income areas as school districts with 20% or more of their students living in poverty. They're also prioritizing rural school districts as well as tribal school districts. So now we're going to look at what the difference will be between those prioritized applicants and other school districts. So this is what I could find on the maximum funding that will be available under this opportunity. So you can see that they've split it by vehicle type. So zero emission electric school buses are going to get the most funding. And then the prioritized school districts will be eligible for more than other school districts will. The same goes for compressed natural gas and propane powered school buses as well. It's just the way that it's broken down is that prioritized districts would get a bit more funding. And the same goes for infrastructure funds as well. So that this is all that was available on infrastructure so far. The full funding announcement, like I said, has not been released yet. So this is all preliminary information. And then here's the expected timeline that the EPA is looking at for this rebate program. School districts applying directly for funds can only submit one application to replace up to 25 buses. So just keep in mind that they only want to receive one application for buses that would serve a given school district. And then I will also note that if your school district is served by a third party that runs your bus services, they can also, there are ways that you can apply so that it doesn't matter the structure of ownership of the buses, you will be eligible to apply in one way or another, and that should be stated in the application announcement. But as for timeline, they will be opening up for applications this month, like I said. It looks like they're planning to close up applications in August. They'll review in September and begin notifying selection status in October. Paperwork will be due in April, it appears, and then a year from notification of selection, they hope that all of the ordered vehicles would be received by the school districts. Okay, so moving outside of the Clean School Bus funding, now we're looking at other federal opportunities. So these are both annual opportunities. The Diesel Emissions and Reduction Act provides funding through the EPA as well for clean burning school buses, and that includes electric, natural gas, propane, as well as new diesel and gas buses too that have those higher emissions controls. So all of those are qualifying under this DERA funding opportunity. It's an annual program, and in 2021, it opened in late September. So that's when I would start looking out for this program. It's typically also a rebate program structured in the same way as the clean school bus rebates. And then you can find information on this program at epa.gov/DERA/rebates. This will be a clickable link as well when you get the slides sent over. And I wasn't able to find a email list that you could get on to get updates for this, but if you sign up for the Tulsa Clean Cities newsletter list, I will make an effort to get announcements out to those who are on my listserv when this opens up so that you guys will be aware. One opportunity that was in place last year that we don't expect to be offered again this year was the 2021 American Rescue Plan electric school bus rebates. I know that several schools in Oklahoma did qualify for those. The funding was all for electric buses, but I have not seen any indication that that's going to return in 2022. So if you're waiting on that one, I would not expect to see this one this year. However, I will be, if I know differently, I'll be sending notice out through my newsletter list. So sign up for that if you want updates from me. Here are some state funding opportunities for clean burning school buses. The Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality offers 2 programs to fund clean school buses. The Clean Diesel DERA program, which funds electric, natural gas, propane, as well as those newer diesel and gas buses. So this is slightly different from the federal DERA program that we just talked about. It's just on the state basis. But once again, the funding overlap would still be an issue. So you'd still be trying to match federal to federal. So be careful about that if you're trying to look at multiple funding opportunities to pay for these buses. The other program that DEQ offers is the Alternative Fuel School Bus Program, which only funds electric, natural gas, and propane vehicles. Last year, these programs were combined into a single application by DEQ, and I gave them a call last week, and it sounds like they're still working to decide whether or not to combine the application again this year. But in any case, you can look for both of those applications or a single application if they combine it in early November. So maybe start looking for that in late October or first week of November. And then you can also find info about both of these programs. You can find information about past funding amounts offered under these programs, and you can sign up to receive updates about them if you hit subscribe to Volkswagen Updates on this link here. I'm also providing some links to some additional tools that might be helpful for you all. These are all tools that if you would like any help with just navigating, I would be happy to help. Please just reach out to me or Eric at Central Oklahoma Clean Cities. The first one is going to be a vehicle search tool. So there are a number of makes and models available for electric school buses and school buses in all different types of alternative fuel options. And the Alternative Fuels Data Center, which is provided by the Department of Energy, has this search tool available where you can look for vehicles by fuel type, and they have a specific section for school buses. So it'll give you all of your options for electric school buses and any other school buses that you're interested in. I also wanted to point you to this A-Fleet tool. It's an acronym, obviously, for this long name, and it's a tool that we at Clean Cities use very often when we work with fleets to calculate potential savings of switching from conventional fuels to alternative fuels. You can look at the cost of ownership, and you can also look at your emissions reductions that you would have by replacing those vehicles. So if you would like your fleet to get an A-Fleet analysis, I can help you navigate this tool and potentially even run one of those analyses for you. I know also Bob at Navistar mentioned that they do a total cost of ownership analysis. I'm sure other manufacturers would offer the same. And I believe that PSO said that they have some capability for some type of cost analysis as well. So lots of resources at your disposal, and definitely recommend utilizing all of those. Another resource that I would like to highlight actually is this series, which is called Flipping the Switch on Electric School Buses. It was provided by the Department of Energy, and it's a technical assistance video series. and it was created for K through 12 school districts that are interested in implementing electric school buses. And through this series, you can learn how Clean Cities coalitions can provide education and technical assistance throughout the implementation process of getting these buses. And then it'll also give you an introduction to the buses themselves, some key decision factors you might want to think about, an introduction to charging infrastructure and vehicle availability. So kind of digging in more to the same points that Bob offered us earlier. But these are recorded, so you can access them at any point, and there are some other resources available. I would also say definitely the electric bus basics and key challenges would be great to visit. The video on working with your utility partner and assessing power needs, that is also so important, and is one of the reasons I was really excited to hear that PSO wanted to have this webinar, because not only are there funding opportunities available for these buses right now, but it's so important to get the utility involved in planning these projects. There are hiccups that you could encounter along the way. These are newer technologies, but if you have the utility working with you throughout the process, it's going to help clear up any of those issues that you might encounter. I also wanted to point you to another resource I found that discusses partnerships that might be of interest to you in order to bridge the gap between, bridge the funding gap from these federal funding opportunities that I just mentioned. So it talks about possible financing options and outside funding opportunities aside from federal and state grants that might be interesting to you. So definitely recommend checking that out. And then just kind of wrapping this up, today's webinar was recorded and is going to be offered again. Like I said, Eric Pollard with Central Oklahoma Clean Cities is going to take my speaking part that I offered today and do the same webinar next week with PSO and Navistar. I would also say that you can definitely sign up for the Clean School Bus Program listserv. That's going to give you all of the updates on this program, and there are going to be funding opportunities through this program for the next 5 years. So if you're interested in getting some of these funds for school buses, definitely sign up for that email list. And they also have this Clean School Bus page that it'll keep updated information on, so recommend checking that out. As I had mentioned, the DEER program is going to open in the fall. This is the federal program we're talking about right here. This is the one that didn't have an email list, but I can send out updates on. And then for the Department of Environmental Quality, if you go to their website and hit subscribe to Volkswagen updates, you're going to get all of the details on the Oklahoma Clean Diesel DEER program and the alternative fuel school bus program that they offer. And you'll get just notices every time there's an update for those. And as I mentioned, here's the contact info for both myself and Eric Pollard at Central Oklahoma Clean Cities. We are here to help your school district navigate implementing these fuels, finding the vehicles that are right to you, getting you connected with the right partners, and helping you out with navigating funding opportunities to get these in place. So please reach out. I'd be happy to take a call from anyone. Yeah, we're really just here to offer support in any way we can. So, that's all that I have for today, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
First of all, thank you, Michelle and Bob, for very informative presentations, and hopefully is beneficial to the group. And that's what we wanted to do, is help share information of clean buses from the manufacturing side to possible funding. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up. If anybody, we've got about 15 minutes or so. If anybody's got any questions they'd like to ask of Michelle or Bob. And then I think Tracy said that she would be able to send out any of the presentations that'll be available. So those should be forthcoming. Any questions anybody may have? Any of the presentations?
Michelle, it's Steve Blakely. Did you say you'd be sending out the slide deck to those participating?
I will send the slide deck to our partners at PSO, and if they will send it out to all the attendees, then we can get that done.
Be great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Wow, Bob and Tracy did, Michelle, you did a great job on presenting information. So, Bob or Michelle, anything that you'd like to share to wrap up from?
So, thank you, Derek. What I would say is just don't hesitate to reach out. There's going to be a lot of questions on the EV product, the path forward to integrate it into your fleet. I think there's a lot of gray area, but we do have a lot of support to help you through that process. So just feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll help you with it.
Yep, I would just ditto that, and we're here to support you all.
Michelle and Bob, thank you so much. I didn't see any other questions. So again, we'll wrap up a little early. Thank you for participating. Hopefully this was beneficial. And again, from PSO perspective, if you've got any questions or anything around electrical needs or things that you may need associated with a project, please reach out to us. We're here to help. We may have some alternative rate options that may be if you have dedicated facilities for charging. We're offering some different EV rates or maybe some things that could be advantageous to you, but we can help walk through those different solutions for you. Is it better to have it on 1 meter, multiple meters? So we can help walk through those solutions for you, and also if there's any electrical needs around that. And then also we do have other alternatives around some wind choice. So if you're trying to meet some environmental goals for your school district, I mean, we have some 100% wind credits that you can sign up for. So just please reach out to us. Anything we can do to help you with this path and journey as a resource and from your electrical needs. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. Thank you so much, and please follow up if you have any other questions or information, and we'll get those presentations out to you. Tracy will here in the near term. Again, thanks, and have a great day, and stay dry.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Derek.
Everyone stay safe.
Thank you all.
Yeah.